Thank you everyone for coming. This is listening session number 2 for tourism in Hawaii. And we are very honored to have some of the advocates that have been talking about and discussing tourism in Hawaii for many, many years. So Kahukaleo, if you can start us off with Pule, and then just share a little bit of the history before we start hearing testimony, and then we'll hear from John Matsuoka, and then Kumu Koi Kapu Hewitt, and then we'll get started. So my name, I'm going to introduce myself first before we get to Kahupaleo. My name is Helani Sonoda-Pale. I'm with Lāhui Hawai, Hawaiian, and this is our second listening session on tourism in Hawaii. And I'm going to pass it over now to Kahukaleo.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm Kaleo Patterson. I'm the vicar at St. Stephen's in Waiwa. Come and visit us sometimes on a Sunday. But I've been the president of the Pacific Justice and Reconciliation Centers over 30 years now, and this organization actually was a project that came out of the old Hawaii Council of Churches that was being challenged and tasked by the onslaught of tourism that was developing during those days, and so I kind of ran that project from those days, and we had this big conference with internationals, and also we had a lot of churches involved in Kanaka, yeah, from the trenches, from the beaches, from the burial sites. But anyway, let me say a prayer. This is a very important topic. It has to do with kuleana on the part of visitors who come to Hawaii. We hope they're coming on a spiritual pilgrimage, and they want to respect and connect with the community in ways that have to do with social justice because of our history. But let me say a prayer. Thank you for being here on this very important listening session today. Yes, let's all listen to each other and feel the mana'o and the leo and the mana that comes out of our meeting today. E pulikako, let us pray. E keakua, e kamakua lani, kamakua mauloa, ho'onani ia ko inoa. And yes, God of all people and God of all of creation, you who wills the well-being of all of humanity and all of life, we are yours today. Thank you for being with us. Be with us in a special way. Be present, ever so present, that we would be very, very humble, but also very honest about how we are feeling about things. And hui kalamai, we say things that may make others feel uncomfortable or may cause hurt. Forgive us if we have said or done anything that should not be right. And just help us to do the best that we can in sharing our mana'o, in talking about the things that are important to us now. We thank you so much for Elani and others who are putting this session, the second session together, and those who are listening, and those who may be seeing this video on their own after this. We just thank you, Keakua, Manaloa, God of all people and all creation. Give us your blessings this day. Makainoa o kamakua ameka keiki ameka uhani himolele. Amen. Amen. And then I think I've said a little bit about this conference. This is our second session, and it's so, we've been wanting to do something to follow up, because we believe that the things that came out, that came from the Aina, the Maka Ainana, and the spirit many years ago in 1989, that conference was monumental. People involved in that conference, and we lift up the memory, the spirit of Haunani K. Trask, who was one of the major leaders of that conference, but so many that were part of that conference, not here today, but in heaven. We remember them, and we are grateful for them. Many people, and if you get time, please read the declaration. Very profound declaration. It applies to today, still applies to today. And we have to lift up history all the time so that we don't forget, and that we can learn about our own history as it's being lived. And so, looking at this history and what people have said many years ago that hold true today, it helps to give us insight, especially as we're coming out of pandemic, gives us insight to how should the tourism industry rebuild itself? How can it be made more pono? Yeah? How can the people of this land have more control and more say in how tourism develops, and so that all people of this land can experience the justice and mercy that we all desire. Anyway, thank you, Hailani. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kahu. So, Kahu, can you just share who you are, and just in case someone doesn't know you,
Okay.
just your name and what you do. Thank you.
Well, I'm Khalil Patterson. I'm from Makaha. I grew up in Makaha, born in Waiua. Grew up, my family from, my dad grew up on the plantation in Whitmore Village in Pamoho. My mother's side from Anahulu, Kamakea family, and Kekoa Nui family, Maui. And but I'm a Hawaiian priest in the Episcopal Church of Hawaii, founded by Kamehameha IV and Queen Emma in St. Stephen's. And I also do prisons for the Episcopal churches. But in my role as the president of the Pacific Justice and Reconciliation Center, we've had this over 30-year project monitoring tourism, global travel, mass tourism. And this is a big tiger that we have by the tail. We have to hang on to this. We can't, it's gotten out of hand. We have to stay connected to this issue. But thank you so much, Hailani, for pulling this together.
Thank you, Kahu. It's an important discussion, and it's an ongoing issue in our communities. So next, can we hear from John Matsuoka? And John, can you just introduce yourself, who your affiliations, and then also a little bit about your research? That would be great. Mahalo, John.
Okay, mahalo. It's an honor to be here, and nice to see everyone. Let's see. I don't know if people know this, but I actually grew up in South Central LA in Crenshaw, and as soon as I had choice over the matter, I split from there and went off to college. And for the past 25 years, I've lived in Papakolea. I was at UH for 25 years, and last 10 of which I was the dean of the Myron B. Thompson School of Social Work. And during that time, I started doing research looking at the social and cultural impacts of tourism or development in general on rural communities, which implies Hawaiian communities. And did that and joined up with other professors at UH, including Daviana McGregor and Luciana Minervi. And Emmett Aluli was very much involved, Colette Machado and other people. And we actually, because nobody was doing that kind of research at the time, amazingly, nobody was doing any research looking at the effects of tourism and development on Hawaiian communities, despite the fact that global monies were coming to Hawaii and developing the shorelines across the islands. And So we started to get a lot of contracts. And I'm actually, I was talking about this the other day because I'm on the board of Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation. And we were talking about our connection to NHLC. And, you know, when we started doing the research, I was asked to be an expert witness on contested case hearings over land issues when somebody came in and wanted to develop, and often it involved a rezoning. And so that if it was a contested case, then it would go before the Land Use Commission. They wanted to rezone from conservation or ag land to urban. And so it usually involved a lot of community people, mostly Hawaiians, mostly subsistence practitioners. And so I got involved as an expert witness on multiple cases. And I was just recalling really how that kind of changed my life. You know, one of the major cases was Miloli'i. And when the Riviera Resort was being proposed, 2,000 plus rooms, 36 holes of golf course, deep yacht harbor, airport. And the Miloli'i folks were saying that's going to basically destroy our way of life, because when you get boats down in Ka'u, they're going to come to our fishing grounds and you know, scoop up all the fish. But that was a really significant case that ultimately we won, and we stopped the development. Another really significant case for me was Lanai. Started doing the work there after Murdoch purchased the entire island of Lanai, and went through years and years of hearings and 3 rounds of research. And, you know, everything was it was so obvious. I mean, it's good to have numbers and data, but you kind of knew what was going to happen anyway. And what we projected to happen, happened. And you see Lanai today, and it's an island full of newcomers. A lot of wealth has come there. Larry Ellison bought the island from David Murdoch. He brought all of his rich friends, including Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and people like that. But, you know, that story of Lanai over the past 20 years is a story that's been played out in communities all throughout the islands. And it's not rocket science. These are things that you know is going to happen, and it happens. And ultimately, you know, we were on a Zoom the other day with about makahiki in the prisons, and, you know, ultimately Hawaiians are being displaced, disenfranchised, and many of whom end up in prison. And, you know, that's the process. Is displacement and disenfranchisement, and you know, the livelihood and culture gets eroded away, and you know, people end up as social casualties. Yeah, I kind of moved away from the research, but I haven't lost interest in it. I left UH. I went to run a foundation for several years, and now I'm at the Hawaii Betsuan, the Buddhist temple on the Pali, and I've been there for about 8 months now, not very long. So that's kind of my story.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we'll hear from Kumu Kauaikapu, Kauaikapu Okalani Hewitt, who is a living treasure of our people and the cultural and hula practitioner. Mahalo, Kumu. If you can share a little bit about yourself and your associations with tourism and your history. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou. Wau no Kumu Kauaikapu Okalani Hewitt. He makua au, he kupuna au, he kupuna kuakahi au. I'm Kauaikapu Okalani Hewitt, and all you need to know about me is I'm a father of 6, I'm a grandfather of 15, and a great-grandfather of 5. I've been working in tourism a great part of my life, and at the same time working in education. I value these things, and I value successful outcomes, especially for our people. You know, as mentioned before, I sat on the Hawaii Tourism Board, and my main concern was when you don't incorporate the local people into tourism, we're not building a relationship with our people. So we call that po'alumaka. You came into our home because we wouldn't welcome you, and then you would dig my eyeballs out. You would take over everything, and there is a great imbalance. While I served on the board, and I was working at that time with Rex Johnson, I asked him to please hire Native Hawaiian speakers. He did. I asked him that every industry associated with hotels have a cultural specialist on board. We tried. I'm going to continue to try. And that's why I continue to work, to be the pioneer that guides this process so that, as it should be, the Native Hawaiian people discern where they want to be and what role and responsibility that they want in tourism. You see, Hawaii is our home. Yeah? Hawaii kokako aina hanaru. Hawaii is our home. We are the people of the culture. We are the people of the land. We should be the ones to represent our culture and what role and responsibility we want to have in tourism. Naka Hawaii, I ho'okipa me ke aloha. Naka Hawaii e ho'okipa me ke aloha. How we meet and greet people should be our kuleana. We should be the guides to this process because it is a process, ho'okipa, a tradition that is connected to our akua, our aina, and to our people. Now, Hawaii Tourism Authority, fabulous attempt at Malama Hawaii, fabulous, good attempt. But I believe they missed the target. And I'll explain why. When you say Malama Hawaii, you have to include the components that make up Malama Hawaii. First, Malama Akua. Honor and respect our Akua. Honor and respect our spiritualism. Honor and respect that everything in Hawaii is attached to our spiritualism. From the time of Papa and Wakea, and the birth of Haloa ke Kalo and Haloa ke Kanaka, Malama ke Akua. The second, Malama ka Aina. If we don't malama our Aina and our natural resources, and we continue to let people in government, in tourism, to be disrespectful to our Aina, and our Aina is a manifestation of our Akua. Be cautious, because my kupuna would say, Iko malama ana o ka Aina, iko ka malama o ka Aina ya oe. Iko malama ole no o ka Aina, iko ka Aina malama ole ya oe, na ka Aina no ainahu nahu ya oe, o oe ka Aina no ka ia Aina. Tutu would always say, when you take care of the land will take care of you. But when you don't take care of the land with honor and respect, and you disrespect the land, one day you become the meal that can feed that Aina. The Aina going to eat you all up. The third component, malama ina Kanaka Maoli. Malama kako ke kahi. You see, take care of the people. Take care of the Kanaka Maoli. Na iwi hana o ki ia Aina. You see, the natural resources exist because they exist. They are part of the natural resources. You can never disconnect them from that. You can try. You can try with your po'alumaka. You can try dig everybody's eyeball out. But at the end, already the akua is attached to everything. You see, anihinihi no ke ola. We don't know what will happen. Only one person knows, the akua. The akua that's connected to the aina and the aina that gave birth to the man. We all connected. We're not separate entities. So when you use Malama Hawaii as a mea ho'okipa, use it correctly. Teach the things. Involve the Kanaka Maoli community in every aspect. Use our olelo. Use our olelo no e, our proverbs. Use our ike kupuna because we're still here. What the hell? They think we all died off. Oh, hell no. I have a waha and I have ike and I'm going to ha'i olelo. I'm going to tell you the things because after 70 years, I wouldn't leave them. And guess what? I'm still working full time. 40 weeks in this hotel and full time at the university at Winter Community College. Because ike, he vai nui, no ka ike o nā kupuna. He vai hanai no nā oha. And even our people got to understand this. He vai nui ka ike o nā kupuna. He vai hanai no nā oha. Let the wisdom of our kupuna, and we still here, let the wisdom of our kupuna be the waters that nurture the next crop of oha, the kalo. So you can hold kuli all you like, but at the end, going to come right back full circle to the ike kupuna. And that's all I have to share with you all. And Helani, I told you I got to leave at 12, because I'm here at my lunch hour.
Thank you, Kumu. We just appreciate you giving your mana'o and your insight. So if it's okay, we want to start with Kukahakalau, Dr. Kukahakalau, who is right now on the front lines of dealing with this issue. And I'm going to spotlight her. Sorry. Oh, spotlight her.
Yeah. No need spotlight. That's perfectly fine.
Could do you need to share anything?
No, I really don't have like a slideshow or anything per se. Yeah, but I do have mana'o. Well, first of all, aloha mai kako. How uli loa wau e hui pume o ko ke kahi o ku'u mau haku ku'u mau just alakai. So mahalo piha. My name is Ku. I know many of you and I respect and have had the pleasure to know you over many years here and there and everywhere kind of thing. I am just really grateful that these opportunities exist. I reside at the Kua'ekea, Waipio Valley Lookout. I have been here since 1991. My ohana, my kids were born and raised here, and we have a 5-acre lease down in Waipio Valley, and we have taken care of the aina down there since 1991 when we first moved in this community from Waianae. Over those years, we have seen dramatic increase in tourism, uncontrolled dramatic increase in tourism to the point where we can just be grateful to Akua that nobody has died and nobody has been seriously injured because it was so out of control until just prior to COVID. From, 2-3 miles of cars parked along the side of the road in very unsafe conditions and turning around and all that and one weekend from Friday to Monday, long weekend, we clocked over 7,000 cars going down that steep valley road. And if you ever been to Waipio, it's a 25-degree angle. In some cases, it's the most dangerous road, not just in Hawaii, but some say in all of the US, really. And just more and more tourist cars coming down, having no clue some of them had never even driven a 4-wheel drive before. You don't know how. And then hundreds of tourists walking down at the same time, going into the pull-out areas that are designated for the vehicles because it's a one-way for most of the lower part of the section of the road. And then uncontrolled trespassing. The only private property in Waipio is the county road, which the county doesn't even know where it stops and it ends, but it's just that road. Everything else is private property. Yet the tourist industry invites people to come to Waipio before they even reach Oahu, right? It's on the plane already. Every single thing, on the plane, Waipio as a destination. And Waipio Valley itself is not a destination. It's a wahi pana. It's a wahi kapu. And that was articulated crystal clear by the kupuna for dozens for let's say multiple generations, at least 30 years. We've been meeting with the county, we've been meeting with the state, we've been meeting, all these community meetings. And the thing that the kupuna have been crystal clear about is Waipio is a wahipana. And we all, those of us who know our history of the era of Liloa and Umia Liloa, even before the Kiha already, that was the center of Hawaiian civilization. So here we have this recognized wahipana. Even in our Hamakua development plan, we are the only area that's recognized in the plan as a wahipana. Yet the county has done absolutely nothing to control tourism down to Waipio. Now, definitely with COVID, things got better, and we saw our kids for the first time saw again what we saw 30 years ago, right? Because they had never seen Waipio without all these trespassers, all these people at the beach. The local people don't even go fishing there anymore because the surfer population has been so aggressive, cutting in front of their lines and everything. And our people are non-confrontational, right? So they just stopped going fishing, right? That was part of their livelihood. That's part of their sustenance. John, you talked about that, right? The displacement, the disenfranchisement, our culture being eroded, our way of life being eroded. That has been happening in Waipio at a just intense, quickly accelerating level. And then in February, the mayor closed the road because there was a geotechnical assessment that said the road was very dangerous. And so then all of us honored that request by not, like we had summer camps planned down there with Keiki. We went to Keaukaha instead. We only go down when the farmers and the residents, when we absolutely have to. And then the surfers filed a complaint. And by the way, a Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation chose to help them, so that when we came to them, there's a conflict of interest now, so we can't even get help from our own people. And OHA hooked us up with other people that are not Hawaiian, so that's another story. But anyway, because of that lawsuit now, on September 19th, Kalamai, the mayor decided to amend his emergency declaration and now said that tour vans, which weigh up to 5 tons, anybody who claims cultural practice, whatever that, you could come from anywhere in the world and say, I'm going to practice my culture in Waipio, and you can go down, and anybody with a Hawaii driver's license, the road is open for that now to everybody. And yesterday or the day before, they even removed the road is closed signs. But we, the farmers and the residents, are not allowed to go down on horseback, which is still how many young people that don't, especially those who have driver's licenses or no more car, go down from Kukui Haile to Waipio and back up. We were just down the hill, up the hill. Not take our ATVs, which many of us farmers do because it's cheaper and faster and safer than going down with our trucks if you don't have to take the truck down. Or ride in the back of pickup trucks, which is the only way you're going to get people down when you have a larger group to hana in your lo'i. And so all of a sudden now we, the residents and the farmers, because most of the land down there is leased land, right? So the farmers don't live down there. They're not allowed to live down there. We live up top, but we have leased land down in the valley. We are all criminals now, while the tour operators and the people who claim to have some cultural practice and anybody with a Hawaii driver's license is legal. And so the kupuna said lava. And so since September 19th, we have been at this Kua'ikea lookout 24/7, informing people of the dangers of the road, informing them that the county needs to get their act together and start fixing that road, which is going to take multiple years, and to start developing a community plan that is designed by the community to control tourism or well, we're not even going to control. We're really going to control and protect Waipio is what it's about, right? Protecting Waipio. And so, John, any information that you have, I would love it. I will put my email into the chat in regards to any data that you can send us, that deals with anything that is valuable. That would be greatly appreciated, because the more data we can put in there, we're working with the Hawaii, with the Ha'ena community. We got their plan, and we're looking at that. So we're looking at other places that have the similar issues, just inundated with tourism, and the county not listening at all to anything that our kupuna have said for the last 30 years. Now, that's all the bad part. The good news is our community has come together in the last 7 weeks while we have been at the lookout 24/7. They're bringing food. We're talking story. The 81-year-old auntie is telling us how they used to walk up and down the hill, blah, blah, how they used to use the lard from all these things. And we, the younger generation now, which is my daughter, they have formed a sisterhood. There's 5 wahine that are in charge, and they get their information from the kupuna and the guidance from the kupuna, and then we all support everybody. So the community has come together. We have never talked to people, how's it? Hey, as you're going up and down the hill, we know each other, right? Many of them are my students from before, but we never sat down for hours and just kuka, wala'au, kanikapila, and all that. So there's been a huge blessing in all of that, in terms of bringing all of us together. So we look at Akua working in mysterious ways. It had to get to that point, right, where the mayor really completely dissed our community and ignored us and really, offended us by making us the criminals and allowing those who threatened with lawsuits, to be the legal guys. But it has brought us closer together. But we do need help. Our women are getting tired, sleeping at the lookout every night, but they for 7 weeks now, and there's no end in sight, because there's no mechanism right now. All the places like Ha'ena are all state trails and state place. So the state, they can work directly with the DLNR. We're working with Hawaii County, with a mayor who's very pro-tourism, and really they have plans. We don't know what their plans are, but we know that they have plans. They want to continue to use Waipio as a destination. And we're saying the destination should be the Waipio lookout, not Waipio Valley itself. And we want to do educational programs. We have promoted that. We have asked for that. We got our parcel through P.O.N.C. process, but we can't do anything there because it's county again. The large landowners are Kamehameha Schools and Bishop Museum, and they're not coming on board. They're having this very hands-off policy. So if anybody has any ins with Kamehameha Schools and Bishop Museum, as far as the board, whatever at that level, please ask them to work together with us so that we can collaboratively develop this plan. We're going to develop it with or without them, but it would be so much more effective if it was with them and with whoever else from Hawaii, throughout Hawaii, that we can have, that can come and kokua us physically, spending a night at the lookout. It's beautiful up here. We have plenty food, fresh Waipio poi, kulolo, you name it, we got it. So, we are very blessed with that, but we just need bodies to be there to help us protect our valley. Mahalo.
Mahalo, cool. I have a question. Are there restrooms down there? Are there restrooms, public restrooms? Because you're saying that there are 7,000 people, for example, in one weekend, tourists going down into the valley. Are there restrooms available for them to use? And if not, where are they using the restroom?
Yeah, so those are big issues. It's pilau down there in certain places, especially down at the beach. So there is a road that is not really an access road, but that it's some private property. Then the Kamehameha Schools has allowed people to drive to the beach. It's a very bus-up road, and they do have 2 luas down there. However, because the population that goes down there, the surfers, many of them don't even surf. They just go down there and drink and party because there's no police presence. This is the only place, even during COVID, that you could drink and smoke and play music loud all night, all day, because nobody will ever come and bust you down there. So very pilau action happening there. And so that the luas are so pilau that people don't use them. So when you go down there, you find toilet paper and feces everywhere on the beach, including on top of our burial sites. Places marked by Kamehameha School as burial sites, the dunes, and yet kukai and toilet paper all over. It is horrible, absolutely horrible, the desecration of not just the beach site, but the burial sites. And then all over, wherever they gotta go, they're gonna go in the bushes kind of thing. It's really, really pilau. And technically, they're even going down to the beach, they're trespassing. There's no public, I mean, the trail that the DLNR is supposed to have to the beach has been overgrown. They haven't maintained their kuleana. Waipio is the Wild West. Nobody gives a rip about anything there of a valley that was so sacred to our kupuna and is so sacred. Like Anakala Kawaikapo Kalani said, right? This Aina is sacred to us, right? This is a manifestation of our akua still yet, right? And we respected that. We're there every morning, 6 o'clock. We do our opening protocol. We pull it for YPO every single day, because we know it. And I'm telling my, we know that's our kuleana, right? It's not even an option. That's our kuleana. So yeah, horrible. No facilities. People go down there with no water. There's no drinking water down there. People that can't make it up the hill, so they try and stop us in the middle of the hill so they can jump on. I mean, it's just really completely out of hand. Yeah.
Mahalo, Ku. Anybody else has questions for Ku?
So John, I put my email in there just in case you have any reports that you could pass on to me. I would be very appreciative.
I got your email, and I'm going to connect you to Luciano Minervi, who did a study in Waipio Valley.
Yeah.
Some years ago.
Yeah, we were part of that study. Our school at Honokau was part of it, but I don't have his current email anymore, so that would be great if you could connect me, because I do hope that maybe he can still help us with some of the development of the plan.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ku, for reporting and sharing about YPO and on Hawaii Island. And that was so interesting. And it's good to hear what's going on. Mahalo nui. Thank you so much. It was an honor to have you.
Mahalo piha.
Okay, yeah. And the next would be Michael Odegaard. And let's remove Ku's pin. Yeah. Remove spotlight. And then we'll put Michael Odegaard on. Where's Michael? And then here. And then put spotlight. Add spotlight. There you go.
Aloha kako from California. And mahalo kakukaleo for keeping me informed. As a reminder that our olalo is a threatened language. And the United Nations has established minimum standards that are recognized to create environments that are conducive to the revitalization of indigenous languages. And I would ask this body to consider that it in itself can be part of the educational system, where we have children who have the right to receive their educations in Hawaiian, have the right to receive reports, have the right to engage into this process in the Hawaiian language only. We also need to consider places where the Hawaiian language itself is protected, where there is no intimidation from other languages. And how can the tourism authority, what role can the tourism authority play in establishing places where the Hawaiian language is protected? And I mean used exclusively, as we have in other countries where the indigenous languages are protected. Thank you. I don't have a lot to say today, but I just wanted to remind you that we're in an aukahi that's attempting to equalize the dignity of Hawaiian with English. And so how can we do that as people involved in the tourism industry? How can we contribute to that end goal in mind? Mahalo.
Mahalo, Michael, for for your mana'o, all the way from Mokuhonu. And we're gonna go on to the next one. Mahalo. The next testifier is Andrew Sexton. Umi, did you want to testify, Umi? Okay. So it's Sexton. Yeah. Me too, I couldn't find them. Oh, here we go. So add spotlight, and then we'll remove Michael. Sorry, okay. There we go. Just remove spotlight. There you go. Okay. And then I just wanted to share one more thing that Ku shared about YPO. And she put in the chat. She forgot to emphasize to please ask the tourism industry, Hawaii Tourism Authority, to stop marketing YPO Valley as a destination. And that's very important. Thank you, Ku. Okay. 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 Umi, you want to share?
Yes. Hello, Kako. My name's Umi Alilo, Waikia Kiolakai Sexton. Everybody knows me as Umi. Musician, entertainer, Waikiki for 5 generations. Listening to, you know, my heart hurts already from what's going on with Pew, and family's calling me to come home and to stand there with them. But who you know, they know, and the family know that my heart is there. But I must stay on this island so I can continue to do the work that we need to do to protect what's going on over there, especially this time of the year. But what I want to share with you is that it's embarrassing and hurtful that the hotel owners choose and pick which Hawaiian they like work for them, or which Hawaiian they like keep under their thumb. And Papa knows this. We go through so many ups and downs as musicians because there's no alliance as far as how we can control the destiny of how it used to be back even in the 70s, 60s, 70s. You could go to every corner and there was music. Now they got music, you know, and the owners still don't pay what they need to pay us as entertainers. I mean, I've thought about many ways of trying to get all of our brothers and sisters and hulas and halaus and all of us together to shut down Waikiki, to shut down entertainment, shut it down for 2 weeks, and we just stand and sit on the beach and play our music for our families. And let's see how they think about that. Let's see what they think about not having entertainment in their hotels when they don't really care about us, not parking, not payment, not alliances, not even, you know, they're treacherous. And we all work for the man, as we say, the people who own the hotels and the properties and the places and the shows. You know, my sons and my daughters, my family's been in entertainment from back in the days from Alfred and Lizzie Aloy Kia. And it still ain't right. Now, Waikiki, I don't know if we can ever get it back, but I know we got to do something, because right now the hotels are just, and even international marketplace has changed so much that if you see local people going to international marketplace, it's still the Hawaiian places like the Moani and other places like that. But even still then, having a couple of Hawaiian companies has saved us grace, but it hasn't saved Waikiki. And still the amount of money we spend for parking, the amount of money we spend for just kidding there is an atrocity. I think what we need to do is to try to build some kind of an alliance with all the halaus, with all the entertainers. I don't know, coalition, whatever you want to call it, of all of us, and just not participate in, you know, the embarrassment of what they pay us and what they give us, because it's like crumbs compared to the millions and millions of dollars that they get from all kinds of relief. I know a lot of entertainers, you know, just stop playing music because there's nothing for them to go or anything to do. And the younger ones that are coming, God bless them, they continue to keep our language and our music alive. And even for Ku on the Big Island and Maui and Lanai and all these little spots that have one or two Hawaiians still standing up and doing our culture. The culture practitioners that are out there, there's not enough of us. We're thankful for all the things we're doing now, but we need more and more of us to be involved. Tourism is nothing for us except a pain in our side. It's a thorn. We can no longer. The status quo is no longer acceptable. I guess what I'm trying to say. It hurts me and others to see after all these generations, either we're dead, gone in the history books, or we're still waiting. And think about the waiting list for our homes. Imagine waiting list to try to get in to play a gig in Waikiki. I think that this new transition with whoever's taking over for Hawaii tourism, if it's possible, that they should be sitting down and trying to think of a way to take the millions of dollars and help the entertainers and halaus and pay us what we're worth, so we can have quality, like Fred was saying, quality, quantity, quality musicians and who not just kumus and those come and say I'm a kumu and show up and they're doing on the corner hulas and stuff. That's God bless them, but that's not right. And I believe we got to do something. I don't know what it is, but I like to throw it out there to you, because Waikiki is not going anywhere, but the music has gone down so much that if you do find us there, it's here and there, very far for you. And most of us not even Hawaiian playing Hawaiian music anymore. So I just pray for some kind of guidance or something we can do to get together as people, try to help the owners understand that we're worth more than what they're giving us.
Go ahead,
Hello?
Kahu. Kahu, you have to unmute. Kahu. Unmute. There you go. Unmute yourself, Kahu.
Okay. Yeah, hello. How's it, Umi? I really appreciate the manao we've been hearing so far. Yeah, I'm hearing some cries for solutions also today. Yeah, and I think it's very important to begin thinking kukahakawao. They grasping already to what can we do, and then there's some great ideas coming out, great efforts to grab on to certain things and strategies. And that's what I'm hoping this listening session is going to lead to. Yeah. Now with what Umi is talking about, he's talking about the economic disenfranchisement of Native Hawaiians. Yeah. That, and so Ku mentioned how humble, how non-confrontational Hawaiians are, right? And in our report over 30 years ago, in the preamble, I think one of the statements, I wish I had, my memory not too good anymore, but there's a statement at the very beginning of that Hawaii Tourism Declaration that tourism is a minimal economic benefit to Native Hawaiians. Okay, now a lot of Hawaiians and a lot of people in Hawaii believe that it's of important economic benefit. Yeah, but some of the statistics that I think John can talk about. Hawaiians don't like work in the tourism industry, right? A lot of people don't like working in the tourism industry, low pay, and then there's so much disrespect. If you work behind the counter of a rent-a-car agency, I've heard that's one of the hardest jobs, or even at the hotel. It's not easy working in the hotels. I worked. I was on Kauai for 10 years. And I had to counsel so many Hawaiians that worked in the hotel and felt diminished and disrespected every day. But but of course they really, Hawaiians naturally get plenty of kipaya, and are nice to everybody, right? But in the hotel, oh man, plenty disrespect, and Hawaiians, everybody treated like slaves sometimes, yeah, in the hotel. Even the entertainers get plenty of disrespect. But we have to look at that aspect, that nobody locally making money off of tourism, yeah. And I don't know, John probably get the statistics, but the term leakage, there's so much leakage of profits that go out of Hawaii. People come here to make the money, but the money is not for the community, local community, and especially not for Hawaii. Hawaii is not making money off of tourism, right? Even though today we have more brown faces in high places, still Hawaiians, if you look at the statistics, nobody making money. Yeah? So that has to be an important aspect. And when we start talking about, maybe shutting down Waikiki, a boycott, yeah, these are things that are probably going to have to happen in order to have more economic equity. And this has happened all over the world, shutting down the economic engines that fuel the oppression and the injustices in the land. Yeah, how you gonna create change? You gotta impact the pocketbook, yeah, of the structures, the global structures that impact people, because it's all about money. Tourism is not about international peace and fostering great relations. It's all about money. And if we go back to India, right? England has a prime minister who's from India now, right? Who's one of the richest. But India, in the old days when Gandhi was around, India was being held captive by 200 British soldiers, and most Indians thought that was good because they were going to take care of it. But Gandhi broke the bubble. Yeah, he burst the bubble, and he said, nothing good is coming out of this relationship. Stop making cloth, spinning cotton for the British. They're making all the money. We're not making anything, right? And when they tell us we cannot gather salt at the beach, okay? So a lot of Indians, they don't go to the beach to gather salt, right? Gandhi said, "Hey, wake up. That's our beaches, that's our waters, that's our salt." Okay? So they all had to get arrested, okay, to prove that point. They all had to go to jail to prove that point, that as Indians in India, they have a right to the salt. They have a right to gather it, to sell it, to use it, right? I mean, that's the attitudes and the perceptions that have to change about this industry, I think, yeah? That it's a minimal economic benefit to we're not just being disenfranchised or displaced, but there's no positive benefits. That's what our tourism conference determined but 30 years ago, right? Anyway, I know John can add more to that, yeah, and other people can add more to those statistics, and that's what we have to look at today. Yeah? Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to that. After our first listening session, I always feel like a fly on the wall, yeah. Because I don't know, when I was at UH is kind of one of the last bastions of colonization in Hawaii, and when you listen to the conversations of administrators over there, you go, oh my God. Anyway, but so after our last listening session, I went to a Hawaii Business Forum, a luncheon, and somebody invited me to go. And, not the kind of place I typically hang out, but I go because I'm curious. And the focus was on tourism. And so you had the captains of tourism in Hawaii talking about projections for the coming years or the immediate future, and we're on a course to get back to 10 million tourists per year. And, you know, everything is great because you look at who's coming back, and this is without the Japanese even coming back. So, you know, our dialogue, our conversation here is like worlds apart from that other sector, that business sector, the Bishop Street guys, the Waikiki guys, that think it's a great thing that we're going to go back to where we were prior to COVID. And, you know, so just, I sit through a lot of financial investors meetings too. And the other day, our financial advisors were talking about, again, you know, the global economy, there's indicators, they're looking pretty good. You know, the world is now consuming 100 billion barrels of oil per day. And I go, I'm sorry, you know, why is that a good thing that the world is approaching back pre-COVID consumption of 100 billion barrels of gallon of crude oil a day? But you know, there's, again, worlds apart, just very different ways of thinking. You know, we're in the midst of climate change and environmental collapse, and you know, we're just hurting from over tourism, and people aren't listening. People just think that, you know, more money coming to Hawaii, despite the fact that it's not being, you know, distributed well across the board. A lot of people are just left out of the prosperity, but that's a good thing in the minds of a lot of people.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Mahalo. Thank you, Umi. So we're gonna move on. Oh, did you want to share one more thing, Umi? You gotta unmute yourself.
Just one more thing. Also,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
we're also ambassadors of music for people that come from all around the world, and I got to share with a cellist from Israel this last weekend, and got to delve into what, you know, what they're going through, where they're from, and how music impacts the world. And he made a very big statement when he said, you know, all we can do is just show up and play, which means that we need handlers that handle us better, because musicians, we just give, and, you know, entertainers, we just give, and hula, we just give, because that's what we do. When we get to share aloha, our hearts, our music, and I don't call it stealing, I call it sharing, because nothing's sacred to me but life. And so if we get a chance to share music around the world to people, and God bless them, you know, music is around the world because of Hawaiian music. But our own people here in Hawaii that share, all the people come from all around the world. It is definitely a stepping stone to other places. But all the musicians in the world come here. All the big bands and groups come here. But what do we get out of it? Is there any percentage that goes back to, you know, Native Hawaiians itself, or any programs that they come in, big promoters put on, you know, 3-4 nights sold out things? Does any of that money go back into, other than state taxes and things like that? We don't get no 20% of that anyway. But, you know, who or what do we do to kind of help find a way to get them to donate to our children's funds, our kupuna funds, or, you know, something, anything. I don't care what it is, but, you know, you never hear anything about it than some other funded. And again, John said, and Cole said, the money doesn't stay in Hawaii. It trickles out and goes bye-bye. We don't see any of it. So we need to do something to start locking down that part of it, to where the promoters and the big monies, and even the movies, these guys are, you know, everybody's getting away with just, I mean, status quo. You get up every day, you know, and you're an extra, you're that, you think you're making, and they even pay them, you know, labor wages that are slave wages. But the promoters that come to Hawaii, we need to find a way to dip into that, so we can put that fund to at least 20 something, some kind of percentage back into our children, our kupuna, our education, or something to do with Native Hawaiian values. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Umi. I appreciate that.
Let me just finish. Umi and everybody, when we had this conference many years ago, there was not one Native Hawaiian general manager of any hotel in Hawaii. Okay, the major hotels, like the Hiltons, I don't know what the names of all the hotels, Marriott's, right? Not one Native Hawaiian. So those Native Hawaiians who were on the ladder wanting to be general managers organized, and others were involved in that. They organized and formed the Hospitality Association, the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association. And they had meetings, all over Hawaii. And, I attended some of those meetings, and there was push with the multinational corporations to hire Hawaiians. Okay, you had the guy, the Kukanaka guy who wrote the book Kukanaka. He was being hired to teach Hawaiian 101 on Kauai. And we said, don't teach Hawaiian 101 to the general managers, hire general managers who are Hawaiian, right? And that's the push that came from the Hospitality Association, yeah? Now, if you get Hawaiian general managers hired, they got to work with the community, yeah? They cannot just work for they got to bring in something different, a different way of thinking, okay? And that's, so the general managers, if they're Hawaiian general managers in those hotels, Umi, they gotta be worked on in terms of the musicians, yeah? And the community gotta support the musicians and the push with the general managers, yeah? Yeah, so, there's some basic organizing tools that can help musicians find a better role, a more respectful, yeah. And so some of that is organizing, right? But you do have a Hawaiian Hospitality Association that I would go there, but you probably need a Hawaiian Musicians Association that can figure out what buttons you got to push in the industry, and then the community got to come and support you, yeah. But so that's a organizing challenge, yeah. Anyway, over and out.
Thank you, Kahu. And then thank you, Umi. We're gonna go to Andrea next. Why did she leave? She might have left. Okay, then I think she left already. So we're gonna go to Richard Salvador, then we'll go to Kainoa after. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. I'll just make it quick because I don't have much to say. Great to see John and others. I'm not Hawaiian. I came from the island nation of Palau in the Western Pacific. I came to University of Hawaii to study and just kind of got stuck in Hawaii. It's a great place to get stuck. Anyway, I think for the last 14, 15 years, I've worked with Reverend Kaleo Patterson and Ha'aheo Kwanson. I think it was the passing of our friend Imi Loa Yang. And we went out to spread the ashes in the ocean in Waianae, and that's when I became more involved with you and others. But I have very much interest what specific islands go through the COVID and rethink and restructure their tourism industries. I think the challenges are similar. Most of the things that happen there are dealing with foreigners with money who come in and pay landowners or property owners to operate tourism industries, and then very little gets trickled down to the people in the community. But I'm here. I can help with many things. I'm a researcher. I help out with different things that I have been involved with Kaleo and the Pacific Justice and Reconciliation. So please consider me as a person who can help with writing or with the research and with other things. I was involved with the nuclear-free and independent Pacific, and most of my activism came from anti-nuclearism. One of the things we said in the Pacific when France resumed its nuclear testing in the 1990s was that the only way to get rid of nuclear weapons and test in the Pacific was to have Silver Island nations regain their independence. And, I think that's the same for many of us Native peoples, having the right to control our destinies. So thank you very much. Please let me know or let Kaleo know how I can help anyway. And I'm here to help. Thank you very much. Mahalo.
Sorry. Thank you, Richard. Kahu, did you have something to say? You got to unmute yourself, Kahu.
Sorry,
You got to unmute, Kahu. Sorry, we still can't hear you.
is that
Thank you.
unmute?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't want to say anything, but I will say something now that I'm muted. In regards to Pacific Islanders, we had some great Pacific Islander representation 30 years ago that spoke about the same issues we have here in Hawaii. And so we have much to learn from others in the Pacific who've been struggling with this issue and have been colonies of multinational corporations. And it's a new form of, it's a new plantation industry mentality and a new form of colonization is what Haunani K. Trask used to say. And it requires strategies that are addressing decolonization, right? And not just political decolonization, but economic decolonization, the way we think. You know? So these are very important issues, and the Pacific Islanders are also here in Hawaii, and so we have to form partnerships with the Pacific Islanders too, because there's an economic well-being that's part of that whole social justice equation here in Hawaii. We have to partner with our Pacific Island brothers and sisters on this issue. It's a big issue, and I'll just mute.
Mahalo, Kahu. Richard, did you have something else to say? You have your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to say that when I read through the declaration, Kaleo and others, I saw that representatives from Palau were there. So I'm grateful. I don't know who they were, but I'm grateful that 30 years later, I'm here, and I want to continue whatever assistance we can provide. And when I first came to Hawaii, I said, "Oh, these are Pacific Islanders too." So I'm grateful to be here as well. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Richard, for your solidarity with Kanaka Maoli and our issues here. So we're going to head on to Kainoa. And so what we're going to do next is, and Kainoa, if you can just introduce yourself and where you're from, that'd be great. Mahalo.
Yeah, my name is Kainoa Azama. I wasn't really coming on to testify, just like kind of participate and chime in with whatever mana'o. But Kainoa Azama, I am from here, also in the back of Kalihi Valley. I bounce between the two. And currently on the Honolulu Youth Commission as well, serving formerly as its chair and now as its vice chair, among other things. But I don't need to ramble on, let actions speak for themselves. But in regards to this whole issue with tourism, and I think that's like one of it to like John's point that he was making earlier with where the people on the flip side of having their own circle discussions, it's like, how do we really get in the room to get them to change their perspective? Because at the end of the day, even if you do the numbers all come out to zero. Eventually, at some point, you're going to degrade the earth to the point where it's just like bad, and it's already bad already for us when we're talking about, like Kaleo's point, the social injustices, the inequities, and how do we transform their perspectives in a sense to start to get to realize, like, hey, maybe there's a way to live for you to feed your own ohana without taking food from others in a sense, or without poisoning the water for future generations. How do we come to an understanding of, like, I'll borrow from Kumu Ramsey, Tom's point, like, how do we get to a point where we understand the true law, that we must honor the spirit of the land, the spirit of the air, the spirit of the water. And then I add an extra S and acknowledge that we all have many spiritual beliefs that must be respected too. Sorry, just kind of like rambling on. And one thing that I think that I find quite interesting too is, where do our principles and our values as a culture start to influence what metrics we do want? Because there's so many times we're always arguing what we don't like, but at some point we have to sort of ask questions to allude them to what we do like, because hopefully they find the solutions for themselves, rather than getting into the ha-ka-ka of things. But one of the things that I think is quite interesting is, like, one of the principles we have, and you know this from when we're malama aina, is like we give back equal, what we take, we give back of equal or greater measure. And that's very similar to, I'm sure Kawai Kapu could chime in way more on such. But one thing that we learned from our brothers in the South Pacific is, like, is a quality assurance system something that Hawaii would be open to as well, where the corporations, the tourists, where we measure the standards of different parts of the industry by how much they give back based on what they take. You're bringing all these people here, you're marketing with over $40 million. And I would argue we don't need to market that much anymore because of the way how many people want to come here anyway. So why are we wasting money that could be well spent doing other things? Because social media is already advertisement for itself, for the less of the benefit of us again. But anyway, so it's another side thing. But going into the assurance system, maybe we can have, like, you mark, like, this hotel is a gold standard, silver standard, bronze standard, like how they're doing in New Zealand, based on what they do for managing their waste, based on what they do to invest in ecosystem restoration. Because if you're a diving company, you should be putting money into some people who are actively working to restore the environment in the ocean. You know, just like throwing all these kind of mana'os out there. But I think that's like the ultimate thing is, again, sorry, just shooting fire on, but getting those people to see that at the end of the day, it all comes out, the numbers all come out to zero, because all these tens of millions of people coming here using our water amid a water crisis, now threatening development on, like, Waikiki, right? Water abundant sites affecting the food sustainability. And the list kind of goes on and on and on of all these issues. But once the huli happens, or things that I think even Kawai Kapu alludes to, once certain when we find ourselves in an emergency, how will we emerge? Because emerge is in the word emergency. How do we come together if the water's poison, if all of these things are a result of tourism? So what metrics are we putting in the HTA to no longer rely on quantity of people coming here, but the quality of how we're leaving the space, how we're leaving the people? And these are just like things that are just like in my head as a result of listening to you folks. And I see Kawai Kapu with his hand up, so I'll stop here. Mahalo.
If I may just respond a little bit. So this was one of my concerns over 20 years ago as a board member of Hawaii Tourism Authority, when I came into meetings and I asked, we are funneling millions of dollars into advertising and promoting Hawaii. What is the industry giving back to the people of Hawaii in educational programs and all kinds of programs to benefit the community? Because we always hear how this industry is such a huge money-making industry in Hawaii, but where the money go? And I said at one of the meetings, it goes into your pocket. Let's be very honest. And the people at the bottom of the totem pole are struggling to get up. I've worked in every facet of the tourism industry in Hawaii to the point where they took me in to serve on that board. And again, and I'm going to say them one more time, we are the foundation of our vision of tourism in the future. And it goes back to our relationship with Mālama ke Akua, Mālama ka Aina, Mālama I na iwi hanau o ke ia aina o Hawaii nei, because there is a great imbalance. And you folks cannot discount the government and the roles and responsibilities they are playing in the channeling of these monies, because they can make change. Each one of them have the ability to create this driving force to the change of Hawaii in its relationship to tourism. And the great question is when and what the hell they're going to do. So this discussion is fabulous, but they are the people that need to be here listening to the voices of the Lahui or Hawaii and those people that are also concerned with the issues that we're facing. Can there ever be a good relationship? Yeah, when they recognize us, because you know what? We all have huge contributions that we have made over all our lives. Yeah. Mahalo kako. Thank you, Bronson. Mahalo kako.
Mahalo, Kumu. Thank you so much. Kainoa, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I guess just like something real small is like a reminder to like how Kawai Kapu is reminding us that the relationship can shift, and it has to. You know, we're very fortunate, I think, in like looking at like our kupuna. They knew how to be, despite this little island nation, how to be pillars for the world. And I think the United States unbestowingly gave the world to us, access to all these different people that we can educate. So if the relationship can shift, and you know, it comes down to like how again, going back to John's point, how all the basically everything comes out to zero. Heva'a he moku heva'a. An island is a canoe and a canoe is an island. So who better to learn how to navigate this island called Earth than the people who actually live on an island like Kawai Kapu and many of our kupuna who are still around today? Because I think even our own people, we get a lot to learn, because we've transitioned off our way as a result of some things that are foreign imposition. So just going back into reminding ourselves of the relationship, how it can be. It doesn't have to be always necessarily no, but maybe what else instead. But yeah, just stopping there, sorry.
Mahalo nui for all that great mana'o, Kainoa. John, you had your hand raised, and then we're going to go to Casey Connors after.
Okay, yeah.
Unmute, please.
Yeah, you know, we're kind of making reference to two different economies, different kinds of economies that are in competition with each other. And yesterday I was up at the back of Kalihi Valley, Ho'ulu'aina. That's a really kind of a, you know, incredible project that is really working towards food security, mainly for Kalihi, but all throughout the island. It reminded me of many years ago we did the Molokai subsistence study, and we talked to subsistence practitioners on all around the island of Molokai. And the study was commissioned by Governor Waihe'e, so that's how long ago it was. But it came at the timing of it was very timely, because the state and governor at the time, Lyndon Lingle, was really pushing for development on the west end of Molokai, citing, you know, the unemployment rate on Molokai is approaching 20%, and people are starving and suffering on Molokai. Therefore, we need to build a resort and divert water from the east end to the west end of Molokai. And so we went in and we talked to, you know, all kinds of folks, and I remember we went to the east end and we expected maybe a dozen people to show up. Over 50 people showed up, and they had a lot to say about subsistence. And what we found out was that when you pull together fishing, hunting, gathering, backyard farming, and so on, close to 40% of the food came from subsistence on Molokai. And it kind of came to a head when we were invited to be on the talk show on Hawaii Public Television. And Lingo was on one side, I was on the other side, and she did her thing about, yeah, people are starving, we got to do something, desperate times require desperate measures and so on. I go, hey, 40% of the food is coming from subsistence. And it's not just subsistence, it's a social welfare system. The young brothers are going out and catching opelu, and on the way home, they're dropping off fish at all the kupuna homes and taking care of the community. And so I think it's, there's so much emphasis on tourism being the savior of Hawaii's economy. We have alternatives, and we have much better alternatives, and we have to kind of do it in moderation. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. We have to do it in moderation. We have to find balance.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Kainoa. We're going to head over to Casey Connors. And after Casey Connors is going to be Jen and Koa from Molokai. And it would be good, I think, end for, that session.
Aloha, and I just want to thank you all. This is really informative, and I just want to thank Kahu Patterson, because I probably will say some things that that I need forgiveness for, because I'm not Hawaiian. But as some of you do know, I came here to retire. I ended up teaching film and TV at Kahuku and Haula because our kids are awesome. And my background is economic development, and I have fancy degrees. And so you are absolutely right. I mean, what is the economic development here? The over-tourism is old-fashioned, and it's an old-fashioned development plan where you get lower income jobs. What I am shocked with my, I know some other of the people are also Ivy League economists, that they know this. They know that the way they're structuring your economy is wrong, that it needs to diversify, that I'm looking at it, and I would say 6 to 7 million tourist tops. And I think some of you have seen that I am too often quoted in the newspaper because I'm one of those people that runs enough tourists already on Facebook. And I do need your help and your guidance on that, because I can do the economics, but I need other parts. When I look at this economy, the way you're supposed to look for economic development is look at the cluster of skill sets and the area. And the way I look at it, yes, 10 million is way too many tourists, 6 to 7. You have to grow your ag. For sustainability, for health, it has to be. And many people know that I'm looking at the skill sets and the gifts and talents, and it's film, TV, it's music. Take it into the 21st century. My students in Kahuku won top awards with broken cameras. That's because they are kinetic learners, as many of you understand. They work in teams well. They know how to do storytelling. The music, the dance is world class with your children already. I've taught all over the world. We say that as a Christian, that you don't know the gifts and talents that you have in you. Your gifts and talents are world class. As a foster mom, as a Hanai mom, when I watch the TV, it's garbage. But what you can put out, what you can give to the world, to take your skills and bring them into the 21st century. You have the music, the storytelling, the scenery to be a world-class creative hub. And those are very high-paid jobs. Right now, about 80% plus of your film crews are local. In front and behind the cameras, they get good pay. You have storytellers coming up. Film and TV is the most popular course. The ACM is the Academy of Creative Media is now has courses in all your different community colleges. I would so love to get the garbage of Hollywood off TV. I would so love to see Hawaii take its rightful place. I would so love, there are courses on how to get your music, your streaming royalties. There have streaming royalties and digital music that has grown. If you look at the economics, that has been booming, like 20% a year, that's growing. And the artists here are not signing up to get their streaming royalties. In the last year, there have been new treaties that are working, and they're international treaties where you will get your streaming royalties from Japan. DBED has something called Creative Media, and they have small courses that can teach you how to do that. Or things like when we're still trying to, my Kahuku students, some of them, they were told they were dumb and they could write a whole music score for a video. Do you know how much you get paid for that? You can choose. Every single company around the world now needs videos. And the talents, the gifts and talents from Hawaiians, from Polynesians, fit this. It leapfrogs. Sorry, but Hollies aren't as good as this. The music, the dance, the storytelling, the working together in a team, they don't have this like Hawaii has. But it's also the heart. I would love to see Hawaii grow this industry. I would love to see people get paid what they like. I would love to see Hawaiians get take hold of their image and their culture. And I like Jason Momoa. I may not agree with his whole movie, but God bless him. He's a better economist than many of you have at UH. And I would like to see you take it forward and spread aloha to the world. I'd love to see Hawaii be a first-class tourist destination again, not this cheap. My big problem is, if you Google me, I'm very overquoted in the media, and I'm often at the legislature. But a lot of times I have, and also the city council in Honolulu, a lot of times to get environmentalists together with Hawaiians, to get everyone together on the same page has been very difficult. In this last year, to get even people to know it's not necessarily HTA. Sometimes it's the Economic Development and Tourism Committees at the Ledge, both the House and the Senate. So when I couldn't even get them to expand this thing for music, to give more courses on how to get your streaming revenues. I couldn't even get that past the Ledge Economic Development Office is the Senate. Of course, the Senate, if you know who's the chair, but in the House. You have world-class talent. There is something, I don't have to tell you, the Aloha spirit is so special for the world. I would like to see you become a little more French. They have an economy that has a lot of tourism, but they're a little snobby about it, about their culture. I know that's not in the Hawaii spirit, but I would love that to happen. I'd love people to come to Hawaii, have already heard your streaming music and want to listen to the musicians. I would love them to get paid what they're worth. And I know that this snobby French style is not you, but please think it over. I think the world needs more aloha. And the children I teach, really, they have the talent. I've seen it. And I've seen it. You're the parents. You're the grandparents. And any help with the Ledge, any help when the media calls me at the last minute, does anyone else want to speak? I'm not always the right person. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Casey, for sharing your mana'o. And does anybody have any questions for her? Okay, so we're gonna head to the next one, which is Koa and Jen from Molokai. And let's see, you can unmute yourself. Where?
You guys can hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Aloha makako. I would love to touch base on some of the tourism issues. I hear a lot of other issues, and we feel bad for all the other issues that are initially brought on by the tourism. But the monotony I have to share is a firsthand experience that I had. I was blessed enough to be brought down Waipio Valley, I think about 5 years ago. I was working on a job over on Big Island, and I was trying to get our brother Mike to join. Unfortunately, he's working right now. He was born and raised down Waipio Valley. Mike Augustin. And I really wish he had the time to be here so he can share his mana'o of what he's dealt with throughout the years. There was a group of production people wanting to go down to Waipio and try to get Mike's permission to allow some of the filming to be down there. Obviously, as one person stuck between a rock and a hard place of working there and living there, he let them know he's unable to bring them down there and didn't encourage this kind of thing to happen. After the job was done, he took us down. He took us to his cabin up in the valley, and he just shared with us, the way things have changed. And he's a young brother. He's only, I think, maybe 31, 32 years old. And in his 31 or 32 years of life, it's disgusting how much Waipio has changed. I can only imagine what the Kapuna have seen and what they've had to face due to this, ongoing issue of tourism. I mean, they're just trashing, they're polluting every nook and cranny they can. Just the way he explained going down to the valley and trying to go home, and he can't even make it home because the roads are blocked off by tourists. Or there's a fire truck and ambulance having to go down to save these tourists who decided to climb up into the valley. There's so much of our resources, there's so much of our time, there's so much of everything robbed from these irresponsible tourists. They think that they pay for their flight to come over here and they can just do whatever they want. Just to listen to him and his family, their heart-filled, experience, it just broke my heart knowing that they feel so unprotected. There's times where, he works a 12 to 14 hour day and then turns around, he get an hour there and an hour back for drive time. After spending 14 to 16 hours out of his home, he goes to go home. He can't even get into his home because it's blocked off. Whether it's tourists parking on the road, whether it's helicopters having to come into the valley or fire trucks blocking the road to try to save these tourists. I mean, it's endless. The battle that he has to face every day is endless. And I wish he was here to actually be able to emphasize on those experiences that he's had over the last 30 years. Some of the issues that all of us here in Hawaii face is water issues. And it's so crazy to me to think that we're over here, having to deal with so many different water issues on different spectrums, whether it's droughts, whether it's, our water being, basically stolen and sold to China, or they're taking our resources and they're outsourcing them and making money off of them. In the meantime, the tourists, there's more of them than us at any given day. And that's disgusting, and whether they're blocking the roads, using up our resources, whatever it is, it just seems like the problem is getting worse. And, I witnessed some issues during the summertime on Maui. I have a friend who has Hawaiian homes over on Lahaina side. And they were all given warnings that they cannot wash their cars or water their lawns. They don't have any water. But tell me, how come the hotels is at 90, 95% capacity and the majority of those people are tourists? How come we cannot wash our cars or water our lawns? But there's 10 million people within the state allowed to, take showers. They get the pool running all day long. They're watering their grass, but the locals in Hawaiian homes are getting fined if they wash their cars or water their lawns. It's just a question that cannot be answered. I've also noticed a lot of, the way that these people come in crowds and they just trash our island. They think that we are here to clean up after them. Our infrastructures, especially here on Molokai, we cannot accommodate too much tourism. And I feel like, whether it's our airlines that have been dropped down to only mokulele, and if we're encouraging tourism, then I can't even take my son to his dentist appointment on a different island because the airplane is taken up by tourists. Our infrastructure is not made to handle these millions of tourists that come per year. The pollution that's caused by the overload of tourism, there's nothing done by that. Or the residents of Waipio. This is a main tourist attraction, but what are they getting out of it? They have to clean up, they got to clean up their EV because there's no restrooms down there. The tourists are shitting and pissing all over the gravesite. The suppression is just to the point where the suppression is demoralizing. I don't believe the tourist economy saves us at all, especially here on Molokai. We don't need their money for anything over here. Our emergency resources, I can't explain how many times just during this past year, helicopters, fire trucks, search and rescue, how much of our resources have been taken up by accidents caused by tourism, by people climbing up in valleys they don't belong, people trashing and doing however they feel because they're on vacation, but mainly our resources are being eaten alive by the tourism. The carbon footprint that they put on our small infrastructures are killing us. And then you touch base on flying people in and out of America to do jobs that the locals could do. I just don't know where it stops or where it ends or where we could even share, which people would even hear the cries of the Mana'o people are trying to share that says enough is enough. We deal with a lot here on Molokai too. There's people that just feel entitled to go walk through our yard and go to the beach because they feel like they can access a beach, whether it's down somebody's dirt road that is a driveway that they think they can just go down and, enjoy our beach. There's so many different suppressing issues that I would love to touch base on, but I know that the main goal here is Waipio Valley and what the people are facing in Waipio Valley. And I know that we can semi-relate with Halawa Valley. I'm not from Molokai, but I've grown to love this place and I respect it with all my heart and soul. But I feel the pain of Waipio because we feel the pain in Halawa. We go down there and camp for the summer and the tourists, they have no respect. They walk through our campsites and sit down on our benches and feel like that's their park to go and sit in. That tent and that picnic bench was set up for my family, not some stranger to walk through and sit down and enjoy our campsite. I can only imagine what Waipio is going through, and I wish I had the right resources to get the voices heard and put things into the right direction. But tourism isn't doing our island any good. It's really setting us behind. It's taking away all of our resources. Thank you guys for letting us share. We appreciate it.
Mahalo, Jen.
Mahalo, everyone.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next one. FM. There you go. And then, yeah. And then just
I'm just here to listen, but I put comments into the chat for other folks to take a look if they need any kokua with frontline struggles dealing with extractive over-tourism. Ai kako o Ahamoku o Maui Island Council. Mahalo.
Mahalo. I think that's Faye from Maui. Okay, great. Mahalo. So in the chat, who had shared the protectwaipio.valley.net website link. So I'll put that on the we'll put that on the YouTube, as well as this will be shown on Olelo, and it will also be on the Facebook Live. And then Richard shared the Palau pledge, and that's a really important pledge. Richard, you want to share about that? Because we actually did a Ho'ihi pledge, which we based upon the Palau pledge a little bit, and then we worked with, I know Kauai Island has their own pledge for visitors, and these are pledges for people who come to our islands, so they are made aware about what it is how basically the proper protocol and the proper behavior when they come to our islands. Mahalo. Thanks, Richard. If you can share a little bit about the Palau pledge.
It has been over 17 years since I visited my home island. I've watched on the YouTube and information from Facebook and others. I cannot say much about it because I'm not too familiar with it, but I've heard that it's been very helpful in terms of educating foreigners who come and visit. There's a lot of good news about it and stuff like that. I'd have to study more and then share with you and share with this group in a later time. But you can find more information on that link. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to share a little bit too about the Palau pledge. Every single visitor who goes to Palau has to sign that pledge. Every single visitor that goes to Palau has to sign that pledge.
Palau is a much smaller place than Hawaii, so it's manageable. But you'd have to think about that in terms of 1 million people in Hawaii and how big it is.
Yeah. But I mean, we had hundreds of thousands of visitors take COVID tests before they came. So we can have them sign a pledge. That should be a no-brainer. Thanks, Richard, for that. Thanks for sharing. So that's pretty much it in terms of our list of testifiers. And this is the second listening session. I believe it's probably the last. And what will come out of this is a report. And we will be meeting about the findings from these listening sessions. We are very grateful because we did have testifiers from all islands: Kauai, Maui, Molokai. I believe we had one from Lanai last time. I gotta double check. From Oahu, from all parts, and Hawaii Island. So we're very, very grateful for everyone's participation in these listening sessions. Tourism has been affecting all our communities and all the islands and different areas of the islands. And I will share a little bit about my work that I do. I do a lot of activism and community organizing, and I've actually done a demonstration, for example, at Laniakea, where tourists are being bussed in. They're paying to see and get into close proximity and to swim with our honu. And it's advertised that way. So we did do a demonstration about a year ago on that. And it was a group of us that did it, actually. A teacher from Punahou, we worked with the Lāhui Hawai, Queen's Court. It was a whole group of us that went. And that's how we came up with the Hu'ihi pledge. There was a real concern on Oahu in the various communities about how tourism is adversely impacting our lifestyles, our natural resources, which are very limited, by the way, because we are living on an island, and our beautiful and open spaces, our public spaces, you know, how much room are they taking up? And this is a constant threat. This is an ongoing thing here. And I can speak on behalf of many communities in Oahu where I've actually helped to organize events where we've actually tried to raise awareness, similar to what's happening in Waipio. And I was in our last meeting with Kahukaleo and with John and with Ha'aheo. I did share my observation about how we are addressing the issue of over tourism in Hawaii. I see a lot of kipukas, little areas of in Hawaii across the Pai'aina rising up and taking things into their own hands. And I've actually connected with so many of these haena with the families over there. We've actually collaborated on things as well. So Kauai has their own pledge for visitors to Kauai. We created the Ho'ihi pledge for visitors for all Hawaii. We've had some businesses take up that pledge and share it with their visitors as part of their registration. And it helps a little, but it's still not enough. And what is the most effective is basically these communities coming and rising up and taking things into their own hands. And that's where the power lies, is in these little communities, in these areas where the community is taking back control. And that's part of our, that's part of self-determination for Kanaka Maoli as well, is actually determining our future on our own lands, economically, culturally, socially, in every way. We are going to determine that, whether it's standing on the front lines and guarding a road, or whether it's guarding a trail, you know, which too many tourists have been accessed. And the problem is here is that social media and irresponsible advertisement of places that shouldn't be advertised. And social media is making what used to be private public. These beautiful waterfalls, these beautiful sacred areas and rocks and beaches, public. It's all public. It's all available. I worked with Kumukoi Kapu with Ahualaka, which has been the sandbar party space for so many tourists, and they have desecrated that place and actually posted their desecration on social media, and it's been heartbreaking. And so we did raise awareness. I was able to be honored to be a part of that, but it was about Hei'ia and that community rising up and taking back control and taking back the narrative. For we are the people who speak for the land. We are the voices of our land. We have to speak for it. It can't speak for itself. We have to. And sometimes you come up against your own people, and that's true. But you know, the people who want everything open and all that, behind them is 1 million tourists ready to come in. And that's not right, you know. So we have come up against even Kumukoi Kapu, against our own people sometimes. And when it comes to protecting what is sacred to us, but if that has to be that way, it has to be that way, because we are the kia'i, we are the protectors of this land, the water, our sacred places. And it's unfortunate, really. Auntie Kapua is on from Waimanalo, and I would like her to speak. She is such a inspiration to me. She is from Waimanalo, and she has been standing for the protection of Hunananiho for years. Go ahead.
Aloha.
Oh.
Aloha. E kalamahia'u for coming on late. I was on another Zoom call. And mahalo to everyone here today, taking your time out. I am Kapua Madaris. I'm from Waimanalo. I live in Waimanalo currently. And I did live in Waianae for many years as well. So my desire is to see all of our lands protected throughout our Pai'aina o Hawaii, and to help people to come to the realization that our Aina is the thing that we need to protect, because it's the thing that feeds us and that will feed us and sustain us throughout our next 7 generations. And in coming to that realization myself, I have this yearning to not only protect the Aina and the resources within our Aina, like our water and our oceans and our coral reefs, and as well as everything else, our sea creatures, our limu, everything that we need to survive, and being there to kokua in the kalo, in the lo'i kalo, and just taking time whenever you can to do something to promote your community, your kaya ulu that you live in, is something that is not something that we can afford to wait on. It's something that we need to start as soon as possible, because many of our generations, I know for myself, my own children, myself, growing up as a American city-fied person, not a Kanaka Hawaii, not living the way my mom grew up, living off the land. I still have bad habits like living off McDonald's, and that stuff needs to be changed, because it's killing us. It's killing all of us. It's killing our generations. It's killing our mindset. And this is why I'm a strong advocate for learning Lāhui Hawaiʻi, because if you learn the language, then you come to understand the thought process of what it is to be Kanaka. Our people did not measure who we were by our blood quantum, but we were measured by the way we think, and the way we act as Kanaka or non-Kanaka. And so this is all part of my journey in becoming Aloha Aina, someone that, even though I was born Aloha Aina, because of my kupuna and who they were, and I come from a long line of Aloha Aina, so I have that in my DNA, but my thought process still needs to be worked on, and need to be changed to understand what it is to truly protect our resources and our Aina, and to truly aloha the Aina that feeds us. So that mahalo Helani for letting me speak. The more that you stay engaged in your own community, the more that you stay engaged in these social media posts that keep us in contact with each other and stay engaged with our Lāhui Hawaiʻi, the more you can kokua and do your own part, even as small as it is, even just sharing posts to bring awareness, or going to your neighborhood board meetings to ask your neighborhood to get more involved in protecting the Aina and the precious resources in your own community. At Waimanalo Neighborhood Board, which I am a member of now, we are actively promoting Aloha and Auntie Pilahi Paki's Aloha law that she created. And in knowing that, I didn't realize that it's actually been already made a law. Our state has already adopted that law, though they don't promote it. And we as a neighborhood board are gonna hold the city as well as the state accountable to making that law a reality. The Aloha Law is Akahai, Lokahi. I'm not sure of all of it. I need to pull it up to read it all out. Kalamai had just got off another long Zoom call, but mahalo nui. Look it up, Antipilahi Paki's Aloha Law. And it's a way that we hold ourselves accountable to the way we behave. And olu mahalo kaino, the way that we behave on a daily basis, the way that we run our board meetings. And I've been to other board meetings where it's atrocious the way they treat you as someone that shows up to testify. And so being able to hold ourselves as well as each other accountable to the way we perform our daily lives, the way we behave, and the way we share aloha while we aloha aina. This is a thing that will help to generate more aloha within our next generations. In Waimanalo, I've had to encounter many times our own people that come, and they are our biggest opposition when we are trying to aloha aina, and it's really sad, especially when it's our younger generation. But we have so many more younger generation Kanaka that are so engaged in our culture and our language and our aloha aina ways that it just makes my heart sing. And these are the people that I myself find myself listening to and taking their advice. Why? Because they are thinking through Hawaiian thought process, whereas I still am a practitioner. I'm still a student of that, where they have grown up in this, and many of them come from the Hawaiian language immersion program. So if you have a chance to put your keiki or your mo'opuna in the program, it will do your ohana a big service. My keiki as well as my mo'opuna now have gone through the program, and I am happy to say that I have started this catalyst in my own ohana. I think it is something that we all need to be able to think through Hawaiian and not just think through English or American and then translate it. It's a big difference, something very noticeable even by my other children who only went to English schooling. So I want to leave you with that, and mahalo to each and every one of you for staying engaged in this process that we all are in as a Lahui to gain back our freedom as a nation of Kanaka Maoli, not a nation of oppressed people who are told what to do, when to do it on our own lands, and when that are not even allowed on our own lands many times. An example, we have a gym here in Waimanalo, and Kalamai, but it's going to be a good example. It's going to not be very good for our government to hear, but we have a gym here in Waimanalo that is made for us people in Waimanalo, residents of Waimanalo, especially Kanaka, and for our keiki. And for years, over 10 years, it has a leaking roof. There's a 4-foot tree, rubber tree growing out of the roof. And it needs to be repaired. And we brought it to the attention of the city time and time and time again. And yet we still have a leaking roof. So much so that it caused us to lose our PAL, our Police Athletic League's sports opportunities for our children. And after the Ariel incident here in Ariel Sellers incident here in Waimanalo, our neighborhood board was moved to create some solutions and write some resolutions. And through those resolutions, we were able to bring PAL back because we feel that by not having these opportunities available to our kids, they're not being able to be seen in our community. And when they're not seen in our community, they're forgotten about. And they become a situation that could let another Ariel happen. And we are not willing to let any more Ariels slip through our neighborhood without being seen. So we're trying our best to create more opportunities. And so we brought PAL back. Mahalo to the neighborhood board and the education committee. But on a rainy day, we were not able to hold our PAL activities. And why? Because of the leaking roof. And it was really sad. You might see that live. I went live with that on my Facebook page. How sad it was that we were not able to hold a simple basketball clinic for our children. Why? Because of a leaking roof. So sad. This is the kind of stuff that government does to us. It's ours. It belongs to our community, and yet we are told when and what we can do with it. Another example, the PAL, they donated some basketball hoops because our gym doesn't have the nets. And so we asked the staff to put it up, and they said, oh, we can't put up something that doesn't belong to us. We said, okay, well, the families can do it. Oh no, families cannot do it because liability. You have to get PAL to come over here and do it. But PAL's not there. They donated it for us to use. That simple thing is taking away our freedom to live in our own lands and to provide opportunity for our keiki. That's the kind of oppression that comes from thinking through American process. And that's what I talk about. Aloha, we would not do that. We would just get up there and put it up and make sure that our kids can play basketball and not sit on the sidelines and watch. Mahalo nui for your time. I carry this with me, and I hope that we all could think about the thinking through aloha and holding ourselves accountable to aloha. Mahalo nui.
Hello, Kapua. Thank you so much for participating from Waimanalo Oahu. And we are out of time, but I would like to have Kahu Kaleo wrap it up for us. And I want to mahalo everyone for your participation. And mahalo John Matsuoka and Kumukoi Kapu Okalani Hewitt, who had to leave. And mahalo to our committee, including Ha'ahel, who has thought this was an important process to start up. Mahalo. Yeah, so let me just take this off.
Yeah, aloha everybody. Thank you. Big mahalo to everybody. You know, anytime 2 or 3 come together, something happens, yeah? There's chemistry, there's spirituality, the ancestors come. In these 2 sessions, we have to believe that the ancients and our ancestors have come and are with us, and because of the kinds of things that we're talking about, the Waipana, right? The land, the people, the well-being of this place we call Hawaii. Not only our ancestors and our ancients, but our ali'i too, they come in the spirit world to see what we're doing to protect and preserve the way of life that is so cherished to them and the people of those days, yeah. So we have kuleana, yeah. We are the descendants, yeah, of the people of this land, and in Akua, the Akua, yeah, too, yeah, the Aumakua and the Akua too. They're looking to us to preserve and to protect this land and the people in righteousness, yeah. So we have great big work to do, and the mana'o that's been shared, this mana'o will already enable some advocacy for groups that we haven't heard from, for groups that are struggling and groups that think they're all alone. But these 2 sessions, when we look at it, we're going to do some social media on these sessions, some write-ups. This will be of help to those who are having their own Waipio experience, yeah, their own Molokai experience with tourism. And so this has been a great benefit because I think we all want to reach out to others who are on the front lines, yeah, and are struggling and wondering what to do next, yeah. And some of you who have been on the video today, you have some some answers and some support, and we can provide hope. We can say you're not alone, yeah? And so many levels too, we have to mobilize, yeah, on the grassroots. So not only can we share what we've talked about and what people are doing now and what people have experienced, not only can we share that, you know, this is social media, easy. We can do social media, we can do the meetings and all that. But the other thing we can do is jump in right now on the issues that seem to be hot issues that have been reported. White peel, that's a big issue, yeah. We gotta somehow get involved. We all gotta get involved in that and support the Kanaka that are crying out now, crying out not only to us, but when we finish here, that cry will be heard in the world. We're going to help that cry be heard in the world, not tourism destination. Wahipana, Waipio, yeah? And then the other things we have heard, yeah, Molokai, yeah, we can all put our heads together and see what we can do. So we can work together on issues that have come forward the best we can. And like Healani says, you know, we gotta work on the local level, yeah, the kalo roots level, yeah, the kalo grassroots level, and help our people, encourage them to have hope that we can. You know, when we put our minds together and we organize 2 or 3, or a family, or a community, or a group of family, we can do anything that we want, yeah. We can be self-determining, yeah. And we have rights, yeah. So we can work on that. And then on the other level, yeah, with the politicians, I don't know who like work with the politicians. I don't know who like work with the economic industry, but those are tough arenas, yeah. We have to have people that have the gifts and the skills to go into those arenas and you know, do the work that needs to be done in those arenas. We cannot just do grassroots. We gotta mobilize on those other levels too. And the grassroots can help mobilize those other arenas. But anyway, I'm very hopeful. I'm very thankful. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Alani, for pulling this all together. And you know, we know about the power of Pule, yeah? We're going to pray together. We're going to pray for each other. And we're going to ask for kokua from our spiritual powers that be, what we believe to be true, what we know to be true, yeah? And so thank you very much, yeah? Yeah. Mahalo, we mahalo kekua today and all of our ancestors, yeah, and yeah, we better pull, yeah, we better pull it, maybe. Let us pray. And yes, gracious God, Akua Aumakua, home of our spirits, life of this land, inspiration of our people, protector and hope and healers of all that we are blessed with as Kanaka. Be with us today and help us with the things that we have talked about, and give us hope, but also give us the resources and the courage and the faith and the strength and the humility to work with everybody, to listen, and to do what we can, to do the best that we can in everything that we are about. We thank you. We thank you, God, for all your love for us, for aloha, and what the ali'i have left with us to teach us, and our kupuna that are with us today. We ask your blessings upon our kupuna and our keiki, and we just ask you to move us forward, move this process forward. We're not sure where we're going, but you know, we've had good mana'o. Be with us and give us all your love. We pray all this thing. Makainoa kamakua me keiki me ka uhani amolele. Amen. Amen. Amama uolele uonoa. Okay, everybody. Gee, I hope I was unmuted that time. No?
Thank you to our interpreters, Laura and Carrie, for providing important interpretation resources so that our deaf community can also participate in this discussion. Mahalo nui. Aloha. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.